These guys, most of them have told me that this is the last one of these before election time, so it ought to be a good one. You know, they promised to keep the gloves on them. Want to tell you a little bit that this is being hosted by the Alliance Port Orange Homeowners Associations, AHOA, as you'll hear it referred to. Just tell you a little bit about that. There's some flyers that are out there on the table. Basically, it's an organization that represents the homeowners associations within the city. They're, I believe, I asked this question the other day, we're somewhere around 90 HOAs in our little city, if you can imagine that. And so we try to be not necessarily the voice for those, but a link to the city, to this building, and to the facility. So that's what we try to offer. I encourage you again to have a look at the brochure, play around on the website, and again, just love to have some participation there. A little bit about tonight. What we're going to do, we're going to roll right into some questions here in just a moment. All of our guests here, who I'll introduce to you, they all basically just selected some numbers, little random numbers, and that's the order of their questioning. What we're going to do is, for example, Mr. Tremont, who's going to lead things off. Yeah, I think that's what I did. Yeah, and we're going to do that, and then it'll go in subsequent order. So when it's the next person, you'll kind of get the picture of it by the time the night is done. I think that's it. We're going to do each of your candidates is going to have 2 minutes to answer the question. These are prepared questions. I mean, there's no ambushing here. Just so you understand what the format was. There's no funny business or anything like that, but these are legitimate questions that have been submitted, and questions that our community has put together. And we feel that it's important to what's going on, and I wanted to give everyone time to prepare an answer. So that's kind of the basis for what we're doing tonight. As I mentioned, each of them will have 2 minutes to answer your question, or to answer their question, I'm sorry. And we have a timekeeper right here in the front, so when you see that lovely little yellow card go up, that's basically a 15-second warning to you. The red one comes up after that, and I'm not really sure what happens after red, but I wouldn't go there. All right, with that being said, I'll give you a few introductions. Again, what we're going to do, we're going to roll right into the questions. When everything is all said and done, each of my guests up here will have a few minutes to basically do their thing for you. I set it up that way, just so you know. I as much as possible, I wanted to keep all the politics at the end. So that's my standpoint. So bear with me. You will hope that works. So we'll see how that goes. During the questions and in the interim, again, we're trying to work with a pretty tight time schedule tonight. And so in between questions and things like that, I mean, if you could like keep all the hollering and cheering to a minimum. Of course, if you want to throw any cash or anything, I mean, everybody's acceptable for that. But in general, just we'll all play nice. All right, so I'm gonna do some introductions. Because my folks raised a gentleman, I'm gonna start with the lady. To my right, Ms. Sarah Jones. She's running for your District 2 council position. Sarah's a Port Orange resident by way of upstate New York. That's way up there.
Way up.
Probably a pretty nice time of year to be there, I would think. She's a graduate of Smith College and Syracuse University in the field of chemistry. She's a retired public health chemist who's dedicated much of her career to lead testing in older northeastern cities. It's a pretty noble cause there, because there's a lot goes on there. Sarah continues to serve her career and her colleagues as president of their local retirees union for North Florida. And this campaign marks Sarah's first run for public office. So, Sarah, welcome to our forum.
Thank you.
Next, to my right, her campaign partner here, Mr. Chase Tremont, spelled with an A, no matter what you see on the sign up there. I told him we were going to razz him about his name being misspelled up here. Again, he's running for the District 2 position. Chase is a lifelong resident of our local area. He lives here in Port Orange along with his wife and soon to be 4 children.
We have 4 now.
We got 4 now, okay. I wasn't sure. I told you I pulled some information. I guess I'll have to update my sources.
I'm sure we have 4.
So-
Every night
He's a graduate of nearby Flagler College up in St. Augustine. Chase has spent much of his adult life mentoring youth all over the southeast U.S. It's a pretty noble cause there. He's a U.S. history teacher out at Spruce Creek, and many of them know him there as Coach Tremont for his time as basketball coach. And this campaign also marks Chase's first run for public office. Welcome to our forum. All right, moving down to my gentleman to my left, I'm going to go in alphabetical order. Mr. Brown.
Mr. Troy?
Don's a lifelong resident of Port Orange, along with his wife and his 2 sons. His professional career is in the field of residential lending. Don has an MBA from our neighboring school over here, UCF.
Go nice.
He served 2 terms on the city council, in a chair pretty close to where he's sitting right now. Yeah, 2 terms as city council and 2 of those as vice mayor, or 2 years, I'm sorry. He continues to serve on an exhaustive list of civic and community boards and councils. I wasn't even going to begin to write all that stuff because it's long. Welcome to our forum, Don. Lance Green, on my far left. Lance, another lifelong resident of Port Orange, along with his wife and children. He's a state certified general contractor, state certified real estate agent. Lance has a business administration and management degree from DBCC. I guess we can still call it DBCC, right? For us old school people. He served on our city's planning commission for 13 years, also as a former chair and current vice chair. Lance has also served as AHOA president for his local community. He's given back to our local youth by coaching baseball for Port Orange Athletics for about 12 years. Lance, welcome to our forum.
Thank you.
Last but not least, Mr. Ted Noftel. Ted's a 26-year resident of Port Orange, where his 3 children have grown up and graduated high school here. He's an NRA instructor and local small business owner. Along with growing his moving and storage business, Ted was instrumental in developing local industrial subdivision as well as tens of thousands of square feet of warehouse space here in Port Orange. Ted has a business administration degree and he's a certified general accountant designation. Ted is a student of the Constitution and our American system of government. He's been active in Port Orange politics for over 10 years. Mr. Noftel, welcome to our forum.
Thank you.
Okay, we got that, so we're going to roll right in there. Mr. Tremont, I'm going to give you question number 1. The city has seen quite a growth spurt in recent years. In your opinion, are we at a manageable growth rate, and how will you manage our growth?
Question of growth in Port Orange. First of all, the answer to the first part of the question is it is manageable. Everything is manageable if you get proper leadership in place. You can manage anything that comes your way. If you have the right leaders making the right decisions, then everything's manageable, of course. Now, as the question is to growth in Port Orange, let me tell you something. I'll be the first to admit and confess that I hate how big we've gotten as a city. I don't like it. I miss the days when there was nothing on Dunlawton and Taylor but a little pizza joint and a convenience store at the end. And that was great pizza, by the way, and I miss that place. But the fact of the matter is, we're not going to go back there. We were 30,000 when I was coming up as a kid, actually about 26,000. We're about 60,000. We're going to get to 75,000 in no time. And that's a good thing, though. Growth is not a bad situation, because when you have growth, commercially and residentially, you're going to increase your tax base, you're going to provide more services to your residents, and you're going to keep the taxes low on the people, and you're going to also provide jobs. So now, how do you manage the growth? Because that is a big deal. And the way you manage the growth is a couple things. Number 1, expect it to happen and accept it. 1,000 people move to Florida every single day. They have to go somewhere. Where are they going to go? Well, Port Orange is one of the prettiest states in the prettiest cities in the states, and statistically, it's one of the safest cities in the states. So we're a pretty desirable city to live in. So we can expect. We know 1,000 people are going to come to Florida every day. You can expect them to want to come to Port Orange. So expect it, then anticipate the challenges that come with growth. With a multitude of things. Obviously, you can't get into all of them. But number 1, public safety is going to be an issue. You need to be proactive, not reactive. Don't wait until the crowd gets here to start trying to make up for it and accommodate everybody. Expect that the growth is going to happen and then start making arrangements for it. Public safety, make sure that everyone is properly staffed and properly trained and properly equipped to handle the new growth. Because let me tell you something, when you bring more people here, there's a greater propensity for crime and accidents. So we need to be prepared from a public safety issue, and some more I'd like to talk afterwards.
Thank you. Ms. Jones?
There has been a lot of growth, and growth will continue. But what for me is important, it's not just the rate of the growth, but what exactly is happening. And particularly when I canvassed west of I-95, where a lot of the new housing is, I think that we have to make this growth with more amenities. And this is what is lacking right now in our growth spurt. You see house after house after house. You don't see a little store, you don't see a little pizza parlor. And as someone who canvassed there, if you suddenly want to use the facilities, you have to drive up to Taylor and Williamson. So we have to manage our growth a little bit better. Where I live in Ravenwood, when it was designed from the beginning to have some stores along the front. And we have to, in these newer areas, have more than just houses. The other thing we have to do is, eventually as we get larger and larger, we're going to have to look at public transportation. The new housing, most of the new housing has no public transportation. And as I canvassed, one grandmother pointed out to me that some of the schools out there that are not accessible by public transportation. So if her granddaughter is ill and they call her from school and she does not have access to a car, she has no way to get to that school. So we have to start to do things with our expanding growth to make it more people-friendly, because we are becoming a large city and we have to do large city things. I think that's essentially, I'm sorry, whatever I did.
I guess you're done now.
Believe me, this happens many times in my life, because I'm too many people know. But that's essentially, we're gonna have growth, but it could be managed a little bit better.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Burnett?
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank the Alliance of Port Orange Homeowners Associations for hosting us tonight. I think that anytime you have a chance to have a forum and people have a chance to get to know us and become more informed voters, it's a good thing. So I really appreciate the fact that you're providing this opportunity for the citizens in the city. So that's a very good thing. Growth is such a mixed bag. It really is. I kind of like to think that sometimes we're victims of our own success, because people love Port Orange, but that also means people want to see the good things about Port Orange and want to live here. The 1,000 people you say that are moving to Florida, they're not just coming to Florida happenstance, they're making choices. So they look at communities. So Port Orange is a desirable place, so in many respects we're a victim of our own success. Could we have better planned our east-west arteries? Yeah, I think we could have, but we cannot turn back the clock. You look at Dunlawton, we see what infrastructure is. People want retail, they want restaurants, they want the things that we have, they want a balanced tax base that comes with having enough businesses, they want the jobs, but along with that come the traffic woes. So we kind of have to turn back the clock a little bit and examine how we got where we are and say that there are things that we need to do. And we're working on a lot of those. Traffic infrastructure. We have a state road in Dunlawton that's managed by the county that runs through our city. So there's a high level of coordination in the things that we want to do to improve traffic flow. And we will be seeing a better communication system for those traffic lights via the state DOT once the interstate bridge is done. So we got to look for other alternatives. How do we get people from through feeder roads, better turn lanes? There are lots of things that we're looking at, lots of things we've done, lots of things that we can do. But overall, growth that managed properly can be a very good thing for everybody.
Mr. Null?
The first thing is growth is going to happen. Florida is a desirable place for people to want to come and live, so Port Orange can expect to get its share. Now, in terms of growth itself, there's two types of growth. One is just the physical sprawl, and we could end that tomorrow if we allowed ourselves to be landlocked by other cities, just like South Daytona. There'd be no further growth. But that's not in our human nature, so we can expect Port Orange will grow geographically its boundaries. But even if we opted to close down our boundaries, we can't close down the demand on our services and on our infrastructure, i.e. our roads. So with that said, we might just as well embrace the growth that's coming. Is it manageable? It's sure manageable today as a result of the downturn in the economy we've had for the last 10 years at least. But what I fail to see in those 10 years is all of this planning that we're going to do or should be doing or have been doing. There's nothing linked to anything in terms of growth that I can see. Public safety is mentioned, but I haven't seen any projections as to how we should grow our public safety departments based on growth that's going to come. So I think we probably missed a planning opportunity there. The biggest problem in any growth, the growth we have to date, much less anymore, is on transportation. That's a complete loss at this point. There was no planning. No one was able to see, I guess, what Dunlawton was going to turn into when we accommodated demand after demand to build on that road up there. And understand, it wasn't as a result of zoning. It was all as a result of PCDs and PCDDs. So zoning by negotiation is what we had. But that's going to be our biggest limiter, and that's going to be where we experience the most pain as we indeed do grow. Thank you.
Thanks, Ted. Mr. Green.
Thank you, George. And again, I want to thank everyone for coming out again tonight as well. Is growth manageable in Port Orange? Yes, it is. I've seen growth in Port Orange comes from dirt roads to where we sit here today, which is a city that a lot of other places model after. Port Orange has become a model city for the planning and for the growth and the way we have planned our growth. We are landlocked. We don't have much further to go. So as Port Orange grows, we will be very, very limited to how much further we're going to go. To the east side, there's only a few more developments that actually can be done, and there's only a few more houses that can actually be done. So as far as our growth goes, is it manageable? Yes, it is. The way we need to manage that growth, obviously, is by the planning of the roads and the infrastructure to make sure that any new developments that come online have what it takes to suffice the system before we put it on the line. If we have houses coming up, we need to make sure that our police department is adequate, our water is adequate, and our roads are adequate before we bring them online. We need to make sure we no longer can continue to plan after the fact for the infrastructure. So with that being said, is growth manageable? It absolutely is. And it will start by the leadership that's on this bench right here. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, right on the heels of that good question, I'm going to roll right into the next one, which is traffic. And I'm going to throw that one at Mr. Green. Our main thoroughfare, Dunlawton Avenue, is managed by 3 separate entities, which complicates things to say the least. What plans do you have to ease the impact on those that have to travel this road on a daily basis?
And again, another good question. Back when I was a kid, the only real traffic we had was getting around the dirt curve of Mr. Jones, making sure that he didn't throw his wine bottle at you, and if Mrs. Cato and a couple other dudes didn't chase you down the street. But with that being said, Dunlawton has been a focal point for Port Orange. And this is why businesses want to come to Port Orange, because of the traffic that is generated on this major thoroughfare. I will work hard with all the other entities involved, the county and the state, to make sure that the roads that come through our city are effective. I've got to make sure that the signalizations, they all communicate together, to make sure that we can ease the pain of sitting on, and we sit here and talk about traffic and congestion. We sit at 2 red lights and we get upset about it. And I'm sure that's not traffic where some people come from, but in Port Orange, it is traffic. So again, furthering our communication with the county and with the state and our signalization is key to Dunlawton. Again, we also need other avenues to the west side. We need the Yorktown extension to be connected to the west side. We have to ease the traffic that goes under 95, because under 95 is not going to get any wider within the next 20 years. So with that being said, we have got to find other avenues to get to the west side. Yorktown extension, very important. Extension of Madeline Avenue, very important. Off-ramps maybe at Williamson Avenue, and even Pioneer Trail, very important to Port Orange traffic.
Thank you. Tremont, we'll just keep rolling in this direction.
Sounds good. I've knocked on thousands of doors across Port Orange. And, of all the questions that I get asked, the most commonly asked question is, what are you gonna do about Dunlawton? What are you gonna do about that traffic? You know, this is a primary concern for people. There are other concerns that I think are more important, but since the people are obviously more concerned about this, then that's number one priority for us to fix. Because number one, it's a public safety problem. You know, you're gonna eventually have some accidents there, and there are gonna be some very unhappy, very sad times here. Number two, it's a quality of life issue. I talk to my kids all the time. They can't believe that you used to be able to get anywhere in Port Orange in 5 minutes. They don't believe that. And what used to take 5 minutes to get places now takes 30 minutes. And that's 25 minutes less time to spend with your family and enjoy the community that we have here. So it's definitely needs to be, it's a problem that needs to be addressed, and there's multiple issues, options of how to do that. We're gonna extend the, all the turn lanes on Dunlawton, get some of that traffic off quicker. Mr. Green mentioned Pioneer Trail. That's not approved yet, but I'm hoping that will. We need to work directly with our Florida Department of Transportation to make sure that that eases some of the traffic off of 95 off ramp. Also, the extension of Madeline, you mentioned that as well. There was a plan in place years ago to make another east-west connector from Ridgewood all the way, actually to Tomoka Farms Road. Madeline was supposed to. I want to strongly pursue that. There's even a suggestion years ago to put an off-ramp at Madeline. Now, that would do a lot to open up for industrial companies to come in there right on Williamson and increase that, those offer more jobs to people here. So dealing with traffic congestion is a major issue. You need another east-west connector, number one. Also, you gotta take into consideration as well. Up on Clyde Morris, there's gonna be some development. There's a lot of commercial development over here. It's undeveloped yet. That's about to happen. There's a new Walmart that just went up there. What's gonna happen is all those people up in Madeline where I live are not gonna have to travel down to Dunlawton as much in the future. I guess I'll stop right there.
Thank you. Jones.
The question was the traffic on Dunlawton. And first of all, I think the traffic engineers have done with this current construction that Chase referred to as much as they can do with traffic engineering. So then the question becomes, what if you can't make the road better, what can you do to take the cars off the road? And it's like Lance and Chase said, you have to find alternate routes for these cars. The other things that you can do is you can make pedestrian and cycle lanes. And by cycle, I mean bicycles and tricycles. Because if you make Dunlawton and some of the other streets in this community more pedestrian friendly, you will have less. I am really do.